Okay, so I want to talk to you about screens on this X-adv 750. This is the 2025 model. If you're following any of my other videos, you're going to know. And personally, so I'm 1.73 m.
Don't forget, press that button, please subscribe.
And personally, I actually don't have particularly a problem with the height of this standard screen. What I suffer with a little bit, and I say just a little bit, is the wind just hitting me on the shoulder. That said, I do get a little tiny bit of buffeting on the helmet, but to be honest with you, I think some of that is due to the fact that I've been wearing a particular helmet, and I want to try out a few different helmets from now on and just sort of really see how much of that buffeting is because of the helmet. So anyway, I know that the taller of us are having a bit of a problem in our lives with all kinds of motorbikes and their screens, and a lot of people put a little added screen on the top. I'm not really a fan of those, mostly because they just get in the way of my vision. So what I've opted for is something called an Isotta or an Isotta screen, and this particular one is here on this part code SC4566T, and it's the touring screen. So what can I tell you about it? Yeah, you get a little pamphlet here, and obviously this brand has been around for quite some time. So it says here the story starts in 1920. They've been doing stuff for all kinds of other companies, collaborations, telling me about sustainable materials, technology and production, testing, blah, blah, blah. So this is a brand that's clearly been around a long time. They're doing stuff for ATVs, motorbikes, and all sorts of things here. Look, scooters, buggies, you know, all kinds of things they're making stuff for. So I thought, why not give them a go? I've never heard of them, and I bought them from, I will put a link into where I bought them from. I think they're based in France, so you can probably get them in the UK, just sent over. Obviously, you're going to have to pay some taxes to do so. So let's have a look at the screen. Now, I'll get it out of the bag, throw the bag out the way, because it's going to blow out of the way in the wind anyway. So here it is. I've gone for a clear one. And the reason why I've gone for a clear one is because I actually want to see where I'm going. You guys with your complete black screens, honestly, I don't get it. I mean, if you're going to get a little small one just for the looks, I understand that you want a little small one. But, so let's roughly line those holes up, and you're going to see that we're going to get about 5 more centimetres on the top here. So I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I'd say it's about yay much. Yeah, about 5 centimetres or so. And yeah, slightly wider here. And obviously you've got this area is going to be wider. And then the shape down here is more or less the same. So I think ultimately it's really about this bit at the top. And the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that when you line it up, the holes don't sort of look like they line up. So I'm hoping it is going to fit this bike. The other thing I think that's worth talking about is that these screens scratch so easy. Like, I try not to clean them with anything other than a sponge, but ultimately you never really get all this sort of fly gunk off unless you use some sort of a harsher chemical. And even where I've been trying to clean this with a microfiber cloth, this standard Honda screen has scratched, and it's actually scratched quite considerably there. There must have been a little bit of grit on the bit of cloth that I was using, and it's really, you won't be able to see it in the camera, but it's really sort of made some etching on these screens. And Honda's not the only one. I think that is the same for pretty much every brand I've ever used when it comes to motorbike screens. Right, so the only tool you're going to need is a 5mm Allen key, and there is these sort of rubberized crushing washers, let's call them, system. All you have to do is just literally loosen those. So you're not going to take them out, you're just going to loosen them. And then once they're loose, pop that there. all you have to do is just slide the screen down like that, and then it will come out because it's got this sort of little system. It's almost like a quick release system. So it does mean if you were going to, for example, go off-roading and you wanted to put like a little screen on it, or it's the summertime, you wanted to put a little screen on it, to swap them over is pretty easy. Only the fact that you're going to need, if you really wanted to do it quickly, you'd want 2 sets of these, which come off pretty easily, but would elongate the amount of time that you're going to be messing about changing the screen. Oh, there's a little washer there. Right, so I'll just run you through how these work. And this is pretty much it. Let's have a little look. So you get the little bolt with a hard plastic washer and a rubber washer, and they're going to go onto there. And then essentially what's happening is as that tightens up, that squeezes that. It's a bit like a pop nail or a rivet, what we call a rivet. And as that squeezes that up, it holds it into this bit here. So it's super simple but effective. So there's 4 of them. Let's whip them off. Do that over here. Right, so now we've got that off, I'm hoping you can see the screen, and I will put it with the new one. So you get a really good vibe of how different it is. So there you go. I think you can see that difference now in the light, and the shape of it is going to be a little bit wider at the sides there. Look, let's see if you can see it. And the rest of it is pretty, this little tiny bit here is bigger, but it's basically the same for the rest of it. So it's really the height that we're getting and a slight bit on the sides that we're going to get. So it does now look quite like it's going to line up. So I'll get this ready. Right, so she's all ready to go on, and as you can see, these are now in the same positions as the original screen. So we're going to line that up in the square hole. Right, so it looks like it's bottom first, then the top, and then it's just a case of sliding that up. Let's see if it goes up. Yeah, seems to be going up into position. Right, there we go. And then, so it does fit anyway, we know it fits now. So if you have got a 2025 bike, this is the screen that's going to fit yours. These don't have to be overly tight. It's only just, I'm just feeling it with my finger at the back just to make sure it's squishing out. There we go, ain't going nowhere now. So once again, let's have that little original one on there over the top. So hopefully you can see there that now you've got a considerably larger screen on the top, which I think is what most people are going to be after. So the question is now, so unfortunately I don't have the standard handguards. These are actually off of a KTM that I've slightly modified and put on there purely because I had them in the shed. So let's go down to its lowest setting, which is there. And right, so I can tell you my handguards do clash ever so slightly there. And I mean ever so slightly. You could get, it's not really a problem, you get away with that. You can hear it knocking. And this side, it's not even hitting that side, so it is ever so slightly. And then let's go up to its full height. No, and no, so it's all clear. So even with these different handguards, this is going to work, which I really like. And so the question is it going to, how is it going to perform with your helmet on? Is it going to go over your head more? Is it going to create more buffeting? Because sometimes that can be a problem. Is it going to eliminate slightly wider here? Is it going to help to eliminate the little bit of buffeting on my shoulders, for example. You know, is this little bit here going to help kick that wind out, perhaps depending on the height or the location? Is this going to be in my eye line? Those are the sort of things that I'm thinking about when I'm, when I'm testing this. So I think the next step is to take you for a ride. All I'm going to do, I think, is just I'm going to go for a quick blat up the highway. That's the best place to test this. Up the motorway for about 10 or 15 minutes and then come back, and that should give me a little bit of a rough idea of whether this screen is going to help or hinder. So let's go and do that.
Right, okay. It's been a week since I've ridden the bike. Been away on my holidays. Well, the first thing I can tell you about this screen is it seems to be a bit crooked. Might just be because of how I installed it, but we'll soon find out. Right, I think we can lift the screen up a few notches. So that's level 1, 2, 3. Oh dear, the big lorry in the way. Another one. Willie's Jeep. Anything else? Well, yeah, it's quite flexible, this screen, and I think because of that reason, where it's been sitting in the packaging a long time, it is not quite straight, but I think that will come out. I'm already wondering whether it's going to be strong enough. Look. Right then, let's get on the motorway. So the screen at the moment is in the second from the top position, and I think that this is roughly the same as the Honda one was, because it's about 4.5–5 centimeters taller. So unfortunately I can only test this screen at 60 miles an hour, because the speed limit in the Netherlands is 100 kilometers an hour, which is what I'm doing now. So at the moment I would say that this feels the same as the standard screen. I'm just going to finish overtaking this van, then get back down to the speed limits. There you go, mate, in a rush. So as I say, yeah, so let's pop the screen up to the top position, Now, the first thing I'll tell you is that this now is right in my eye line, so if you were taller it would be perfect for you. It's also quite warm, so it's not so easy to feel whether you're getting buffeting on your arms. So I think that this is going to need a further test. I don't think that this one run is going to be really enough to decide whether we're better off with a bigger screen or not, or this particular screen. My first impressions are it's very quiet now, which means a lot of the wind is getting pushed away from me. I'm not getting that. On some big bikes you get that thing where the wind goes over your back and sort of pushes you in the back, and I'm not getting that, thankfully, because I'm not a fan of that feeling. Let's try and get some open air. Right, I have got obviously a camera mounted to the top of my helmet, and I can tell you that that is not getting buffeted. So let's say that that camera sits, let's have a little look. Does it sit in a mirror? Well, yeah, it's sitting quite proud on top of my helmet, and that's not getting buffeted. What I'll do is at the end of the video I'm going to measure out with the tape measure the differences and the heights. But what I can tell you is this screen is definitely an improvement. If you're a taller rider and you're looking for that extra bit of protection to stop you getting the buffeting in your helmet, right, I'll sit up proud, and even now I'm sitting up quite high now, I'm really sort of stretching. I'm not getting any buffeting at all. This screen is actually very good. So this will be the test. When this van comes in front of me, you get that dirty air. You might even be able to feel that on the, or hear it on the mic. It's sort of gone now. But yeah, a good amount of protection even in that dirty air off the back of that quite big van. Obviously I'm only 1m73 with a 32-inch leg, so I'm really not that tall to give you tall chaps a proper feeling of what it's like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of squat on the bike now, and even that, it's just catching the camera on top of the helmet, but it's not hitting the helmet, you can tell, because the helmet's a lot quieter than it usually is. I've got no earplugs in, and this is quite a noisy helmet. This is the Aero Commander 2, which I've done a bit of an opening and review kind of videos on, so I'll tag that in. And I say that this is a win. This is definitely a DDS thumbs up for this particular screen on the motorway. And obviously you're going to get, if you're really hot and you want to put the screen down, it's obviously going to block a fair bit of that wind from cooling you down on those hot days. You might want a smaller screen for those hotter days. But as for motorway riding, this is now in its most upright position. Obviously I'm only doing 60 mile an hour, that's as fast as I can go in this country, so I'm really not sure what it would be like. Let's get off the motorway and turn around and go back the other way for another little test. So I'm just going to drop that screen all the way down to its lowest position. And there you can really see that it's bent, and I suspect that's why when I went lock to lock it was showing that it would bump on one side and not the other. Now it could be that all I need to do is just loosen the nuts off and give it a little bit of a wiggle. So when I get back to the workshop, that's what we'll have a little play with. But in the meantime, that is the conclusion of the motorway journey, my little couple of minutes up the motorway. And it's always windy in the Netherlands. Even when it's not windy, it's windy, so it's typically a good test. So I think if I pop that up by 2 to there, keeps the wind off my chest, I can still see plenty. Love this bike, so much fun. Oh, hello, Mr. Kia. So easy to flick around. So much so that, oh, look at me in my electric car. I can go fast in a straight line, not round a corner.
Right, we're back at the DDS headquarters, and what we noticed on the ride was that this is a bit crooked. And I wonder whether it's to do with the mounting of the screen or whether it's just become crooked over time in the packaging. So I thought, just quickly as we end this video, just get that loose and then see if it is the case that we can level it up or not. So it's leaning down like this, and I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I just don't know whether it's just in the mounting or whether it's just a little bit crooked. And I've got a feeling that the one I've got is simply just a bit crooked. So we want it to come down that way. So if I hold it this way and tighten it up, and then push it, which way would it want to go? I suppose it would want to come up that way. Tighten it up, and then this one, I think they can just be, all right, if that goes that way a bit, and that stays where it is. Now one more look. Well, it's better than it was, but it's still crooked. This side's a bit twisted, if you like. But I dare say that if you just sat this in the sun on a hot day and just went like that for a few seconds, it would level it off, because it's ever so flimsy, this thing. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's flimsy or not. You can literally see it moving around. I don't know if you could break it, but as I say, so as part of the review, I would say that even though I only managed to do 60 miles an hour because of the speed limit here, the buffeting is definitely reduced, so it's giving you more protection, definitely. Of course I can't be taller, but I kind of squatted like so to make myself look taller to the wind, and I wasn't getting the buffeting even with the camera on top of my helmet. So I would say that if you're a taller fella or lady and you're looking for a screen for the X-adv 750, then this one is definitely something to look for. And I'm just going to clarify the name of it. It's an Isotta, and it's called the Capolino Touring for the X-adv 750 2021 and onwards. So obviously I'm going to put a link in the description for this screen, and hopefully that's helpful for one of you guys out there that's looking for a taller screen. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next one.